Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Bodybuilding Motion. And today I want to talk to you about designing a program and a couple things to consider. So when you design a program, it's kind of like making music. You're using different musical notes, you're using different instruments, and you're looking also at an overall key to the song, so an overall theme. So when I design my own programs, or daily, pretty much this happens, because I'm always using instinctual training because I'm listening to what my body's saying, how it feels, and taking into account what I've eaten that day, because that factors into how I feel. And of course, if you don't eat the right foods, then you might not have the energy to train as hard as you might if you were eating perfect. But what I usually do is that I have an idea in mind, and that's like a musical key. It's like tension is the musical key. I'm saying, okay, tension is the commonality that's going to thread through all of my exercises, all of my rep ranges, all of my ranges of motion, and all of my frequency. So if I'm training every day, every body part every day, or if I'm training a body part once a week, tension is still the commonality. So I think what happens with a lot of people who are extremely enthusiastic is that they will say, tension is good, more tension must be better. And yes, to a point, it's better until it's not, right? Too much tension can also lead to injury, lead to muscular tears or tweaks of the joint or tendon ruptures, right? So you're trying to work in a tension that the body is able to calibrate to. So what I would say is one of the most important things to understand in your training is that first and foremost, pay attention to the body. If you're getting weird pains or aches in the joints, then perhaps you're not playing with these tensions properly. Whether that means you need an adjustment in range of motion, exercise technique, or the weight you're using. Because a lot of times people will go to use way too much weight, strain out 4 or 5 reps on an exercise, thinking they're going to get more results from it, and then they end up hurting themselves and not getting any results in the process. So what you want to do is ease the body, and that's what a great workout program does. It eases the body into adaptation. And yes, intensity can rise and lower down. So intensity of weight, you can be using heavier weights and then lighter weights, the higher rep ranges. So there's 2 different types of intensity. One is the intensity with weight you're using, how heavy you're lifting, right? You're going to failure with 5 reps. And then there's the intensity of going to failure with high reps, which is a different type of intensity. It's like an overall energy fatigue. Now, both of these intensities can be good, but somewhere in the middle is probably where 60 to 70% of your training should be. Maybe even 40%, 50%, something like that. Through experimentation, you're going to find out that you don't have to be going extreme heavyweight and you don't have to be going extremes to failure in order to ease the body into muscular growth. So I can make general statements right now, but the statements are going to be different for you because your body's not mine. But what I would say is that if you're a beginner to an intermediate or even advanced person, your rep ranges, generally speaking, should be almost always 10 reps to 30 reps. And this is a measurement of failure. So say I say a 10 rep set, that means 10 reps is all you could get. That's all the positive reps you could get out of that set. That's a form of measuring a 10 rep intensity. Now, the odd time you might get in a 6 rep workout on a compound exercise like bench, but when you do this with squats and bent over rows and deadlifts, and you're starting to mess around with the lower back, there is a higher risk of injury. Now, if you're a powerlifter, again, that's the risk that you're willing to accept for that sport, and you might be genetically built for it. But I think most people, if they play around in those rep ranges to failure too often, they're not going to get any better results, but they're going to get a lot of injuries. So it's good to err on the side of caution when you're designing your own workout programs to work within conservative rep ranges and get a feel for what your body responds to. And then from there, you can also get a feel for what it doesn't like, most importantly, and then you could calibrate your range of motion or the way that you train or the exercise frequency and so forth. So if you're noticing that you're doing your 4 sets of 20 reps for squats, but then your knees are aching for a whole month after, maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're bringing the knees too far over the toes. Maybe you're squatting too deep. Maybe you're not activating the hamstrings well enough by bringing that ass back, right? I mean, you know, it depends on your own bodily structure. But these are experiments you have to give yourself a bit of leeway, because if you start with too heavy of a weight, you don't get the signs, you just get a snap. You see? It's kind of like a car when it's going 150 to 200 miles an hour and it hits a wall. There's very few people that survive that. So if you can make small mistakes in your training with conservative rep ranges, not only are you going to get good results, but you're going to give yourself time to be able to see and experience the warning signs of the body and the little signals that it gives you. And therefore you can build this intuition that's so necessary to find the perfect way for you to train. But long story short, I find for natural bodybuilders like myself, I find a medium to higher frequency type of training seems to work. Not super high amounts of volume, and rep ranges from 10 to 30 reps. Generally. I contradict myself here and there, but if I'm going to make just general statements, that's a good place to start. And if you're doing workouts, don't feel like you have to do massive amounts of volume. You can do just a couple sets for a body part and then move on to the next body part and see how your body responds. And if it's not tight, not sore, not achy in the wrong way the next day or two, then maybe you can add a little bit of volume or add a little bit of weight or something. So that's just a couple little thoughts I have about designing your own workout programs. I do have workout programs on my website if you want to see how I design them. And thanks a lot for watching. And if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgalantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the page supporters, and take care for now. Motor. Oh yeah!